You're listening to Love and Pillow Talk with relationship coach and spiritual matchmaker, Madam Coach Priyara.
Welcome to WGSN-DB Love and Pillow Talk with Madam Coach Perea, where we're up close and personal, and we share the soulmate relationship experience, focusing on the work of love alchemy and the soulful connections. I am so excited about this guest. He has invited me on his show. He is an amazing guy, and I just love him so. And he is a life coach out of Atlanta, Georgia. His name is Tim Ty. I love his name. It's so powerful. And he is on the Blog Talk Radio Network. Specifically, his show is launched on the Source Radio Network, and it is the Renaissance Relationship Therapy. We're going to be talking about all the amazing work that Tim is doing on his platforms. And he has 2 sites that you could go to find out more. So I'll be sharing that with you this morning. You're going to be just overjoyed and just surprised about the topics that we're going to share. But you know what? First I want to do is I want to welcome Tim T on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Again, many thanks for having me here for a great introduction. It's just amazing for us to be talking again. And like you said, there's so much we can go all day. Hopefully we can compress enough of it into a great show.
Yes, but first, Tim, I want you to tell everybody your full name. And I know that there's a great meaning behind it. And then share with us your background of 25 years of experience in this work.
Okay, Tem T Sahu Ra. It means the undifferentiated one in the image of Ra. And essentially, the undifferentiated one is Tem. Tem was around at the beginning of time, and it literally translates as the first mound. But before there was anything else created, this was the first mass. So it's really unformed, but all the potential of everything that is to become the earth and the world is within this rock. So it's without true form, but the form is yet to come. And the image of Ra is Ra symbolizing the sun and the energy that comes from that. And this is more a description of my character and what I'm here to do. Give off this energy that I've been blessed with and to keep the light shining. So that's the name. And the work, with all things, it finds you. Your path finds you. And sometimes you're not ready for it, you fight it. And then when the penny does drop, you realize that why were you pushing against it all along? You've been doing it all your life. So the interest in always trying to look behind the veil, to understand the why in life, why things happen like this. I was always very sensitive as a child to what people were thinking, people's emotions, always able to tune into what was really the issue behind everybody's words. I've always been the one to give advice. I've always been the one who to read books about tea leaves and reading palms, because I just always wanted to know how and why things happen. So it's been within me, and never really took it seriously until I went through my own breakdown in life, having a failed relationship, reaching rock bottom, not really understanding my own character and personality. And I had to rebuild myself up. I had all these books on ancient cultures and languages and rituals and stuff like that. And it's like, you know what? This has to be more than information. This is stuff that served great empires. There's a way of life in here that if I reconstruct, it can work for me. So this is what I did, and was able to, by using diet, by using yoga, breathing exercises, affirmations, I was able to actualize myself into the person that I always knew I was. When people saw the transition, then they started asking me, well, how did you do that? Well, how are you looking, walking with a skip in your step? And when I started telling them, they started doing some of the things I told them. That worked to them, and that led to me saying, you know what? Maybe I should do this for a living. So here we are, and when you do it for a living, your path starts to write itself. You no longer have to start forcing anything. It just opens up. So one thing has led to another. My path has now crossed with you again, might I add, and here we are.
Yes, and I just want to add, we're talking about once it revealed itself, once the veil was lifted, and you got to that person, and it's sad, and we were just talking about this a little bit ago, that it takes a lot of us to go through the breakdown to get through the breakthrough to start the awakening process. But this is a lifelong journey. And as you said, it got you to the point once you were open and accepting it to self-actualization a lot quicker, which means wellness, balance in life, and wholeness to continue to do this work. But I also want to add that Tim is bringing 25 years of experience as a human behavioral analyst, a lifestyle research specialist, and a true purpose coach, which I love that, a true purpose coach. He has a lot of platforms that we can connect with that we'll be sharing throughout the show. You put a site on your Red Pill Life website, and it says, when you come in talking about what you do, it says, life is the key to your purpose, and the purpose is the key to your life. So give us a little bit more detail, Tim.
Life is the key to your purpose. As in, you have to live. You have to live. Life is now, and you have to be in your present. You know, if you're not in your present, you know, if you're in a situation, you're at a birthday party, the whole idea of the birthday party is to eat cake and play with balloons because it's a birthday party. But if you're thinking about what you're going to be doing next week when you go back to work, or you're thinking about what this person did to you when you were 7 years old, you're taking yourself out of the moment. You're not enjoying it. You're not living it. And you're not learning from the moment what there is to be learned. So without understanding the now moments, it's hard to understand what your purpose is and what you should be doing from moment to moment. And then, of course, once you do figure out your purpose, then you no longer have to plan in such a way with life in terms of like, well, I've got to go to college, I've got to get married, I've got to get 2 kids, I've got to get a dog. That plan goes out the window. Now you're running on DNA. You know, you're running on your genetic code that puts you in all the right thinking, all the correct thoughts, that put you in all the right situations, that make, you know, that allow all the right things to happen to you because you are now following your own instincts. You're living your own life. And that's what purpose does for you. When you are living purposefully, then your true life happens to you, not the life that was put in a manual or the life you were conditioned for, but your real, actual life with all the blessings and all the challenges that you are actually designed to meet and overcome.
Yes, and that in itself, what you just said, is just so powerful because this is what your services are built around. And so talk a little bit more about your lifestyle program, which I love because this is important to each one of us as individual souls, that we have a sacred contract, but each of us needs a personalized program that's going to benefit us in diet and exercise, relaxation, our environment, and our self-philosophy in life to go through those lower need deficiencies to get to self-actualization. So talk to us a little bit and give us a little bit of background of the services and what they're built around.
It's essentially to allow you to be you. That's the only thing that we've been mandated to do in this life, to be ourselves. There's nothing else we can be. There's nothing else we could be but ourselves. So, and the whole point of being ourselves is that we have a very special gift, a natural gift that we have to offer to the world. If we imagine everybody as a string on a guitar, we have a specific note that we add to the harmony. When we play our note, then we have more harmony. But if we're not playing our note or we're playing the wrong note, then you have disharmony in the world. And that's why we have so many issues, because not enough of us are actually just doing us and bringing to communities the one thing that we are here to bring. So the first step in the lifestyle programs is foundation, your root. Who am I? What am I? All of these things are examined and looked at as we really start off with defining your purpose, defining your strengths, defining your challenges, and ensuring that you are reconnected with your original roadmap. That contract, being able to understand it again and to be motivated to realize that your life is better fulfilled if you live according to the terms of the sacred contract that you wrote for yourself. The second part is the action. Okay, now you know your contract. Well, you know, I'm like 50 pounds overweight. You know, I'm stuck in a bad relationship. I have no self-confidence. These are the things that will get in the way of you achieving your ambitions. So get in the shape that is you, not the shape that you saw on TV or on Eating Weekly or whatever, you know, the shape that is authentically yours, the shape where you feel you can function. Get your confidence back. Be confident to be you. Nobody else, not in competition with any ideal. Just compete with yourself to be the best you can be. And look at your diet to maintain, because you're going to get to a point where once you realize who you are, that has to be maintained. So setting up the systems, the rituals, the routines, essentially the culture, because now you know the real you. It has to be cultivated so you can get the best from week to week, from month to month, from year to year. You come back bigger, better, and stronger every year. So that's the action. And then you have the completion. The completion is now that you've reached a stage of self-actualization, this is now, and you know how to maintain it. It's the type of how you're going to interact and the type of plans that you are going to fulfill for yourself for the next 12 months. Specifically with this program, we set everything up for 12 months in terms of your aims and ambitions, and set out a roadmap on how you're going to achieve them with this additional energy and purpose that you now have in your life.
Well, I tell you, that segue to your program about what you're just describing, you call Uology, which I love because it is describing this program that you put together to help us understand who we are and the variety of angles that would reveal our character, our emotions, our health, and to establish the purpose and our motivation for change, because it is so important. But obviously also we need to remove all those personal and those emotional limitations. And you have a software, you have a Uology process that anyone can take. That's a set of 12 colorful reports that's going to help us, and I love this, you know, develop our own individual life ecosystem, because that's what you just basically said. We have our own individual ecosystem. And so those of us that think back in high school or even in college, you know, science, we're like, oh my God, biology, what the heck, science? Now, guess what? Go back and put you in that realm of being your own ecosystem, because I love it, because this ecosystem you say is made up of the relationships, your soulmates, your career, the diet patterns, your health, and so much more. Can you add anything else to what I just shared? So powerful.
Everybody is an ecosystem. When you think about it, you know, the people in your life that are around you, the business that revolves around you, the growth in terms of family, relationships, people that you communicate, people that look up to you, people that you look up to. This is a whole ecosystem surrounding us. And when we talk about the personal ecosystem, when we're looking at the software that I use, breaks it down into 12 distinct areas. You have yourself, your motivations. You have money, which of course is important. You have your intellect, the way you think. That's part of your ecosystem, the books that you read. You have your home, the way you nurture yourself, your family. You have your creativity and your children. You also have the other area of work and service, the kind of chores that you do every day. Partnerships is an important part of that system. Also, sexual energy. This is another very, very underlooked part of our lives that we don't realize how important sexual energy is to powering our ecosystem. We also have our aspirations, our philosophies that get us through life. When we feel a blockage emotionally and we can't figure something out, it's our philosophy that carries us through. What's your personal philosophy? That's a huge part of who we are. We also have our careers and our full potential to achieve in this life. Then there's the social aspect of us, the altruism, friends, giving back to the community. And then lastly, we have your spirituality and the innermost part of you, the most essential part of you. So those are the 12 areas. And finding imbalance in any one of those areas will have a knock-on effect. So just think about when how horrible your life was when you got cheated on or when you lost your job. It just didn't affect your work and you came home and everything was fine. No, it affected things at home. It affected things with your relationship. It affected things with your health. So everything is connected. And what I look for is where the imbalance is, what it connects to, and then how that can be best remedied by either introducing some of the energy that you're missing in your life to bolster that up, or to actually counteract the energy that you've lost by balancing out with an opposite and equal energy. So it's a very straightforward process once you know where the imbalance is, but it's to understand where it is and even the potential for imbalance, to define that. And once you know that, then it's just a matter of having your awareness about yourself and maintaining your cultivation and your routines, your updated routines, so that you maintain balance in your life. When you maintain balance, you have peace. And when there's peace, things will grow.
Yes, and you said it so beautifully. And one of the things I also love, too, is that you teach yoga. And all of this is important in doing this work that we're talking about. And when you broke down those 12 areas, I bet you people that are listening to the show are going, oh, my goodness. Guess what? This is not supposed to be an easy thing, but every day we have things that are always reminding us what we're doing every day is also what we need to do in, I'm going to use your phrase, our own individual ecosystem. So I want to talk a little bit more about this energy, because what is also important to understand of those 7 core energy points, and some of us know them as chakras. We have more than 7, but this is our 7 major energy points within our body. And it is so important to understand how these work. And also they affect, when we're going through these things, we're going through a breakdown, and in these relationships, loss of a job, it affects us in this system. So I'm going to ask the question, how are thoughts and emotions and health all connected when it comes to these 7 core points in the body?
Okay, so anything that happens in your life, you process it. If food comes into your life, you eat it, you process it through your digestive process. If information comes into your life, you deal with it through your mental process. If sex comes into your life, you absorb it through your sexual process. So we all have different processes in how we bring things into our life and take them into us as part of our life experience. So we have 7 major areas, and these can also be broken down into the 7 major organs of the body. And of course, the 7 major organs of the body communicate with the brain through the nervous system. So you have 7 major nerve bundles or plexuses around the organs that communicate to the brain when an organ is being excessive or being minimized or under stress or whatever. And whenever we get that feedback from the organs, we have an emotional response, so it affects our emotions. External things that affect our organs, whether it's a stomach ache, we eat bad food, we get a stomach ache, the nervous impulses get to our brain, we feel sick. And if we feel sick, we can feel down. So it affects our emotions. Or emotionally, we can feel a certain way, like we feel nervous, and then our stomach starts to rumble. We get butterflies. So whichever way the information travels, it's a two-way conduit. Having extreme imbalance in one of your 7 areas, again, will affect you when there's an overload. You eat too much food, you're going to get a stomach ache. You don't have enough confidence in a situation and you get scared or nervous, you get butterflies in your stomach because it's very hard to digest what's going on. And this can be saying, you can do the same thing with the kidneys. They are responsible for balancing out your body's metabolism through water. If you're scared, people talk about, well, I almost wet myself. You know, so you get that whole feeling of nervousness where now, if you're nervous and you have butterflies in your stomach, there's a knock-on effect and it can make you want to release water because your kidneys are under stress. And being under stress can happen from any external situation where your life feels threatened. These major 7 points, again, are how we absorb information. The first of the 7 points is to do with just our self and our safety, our sense of being, our root, who we are, our identity. The second is to do with the things that we want, our drive, our lust. And, you know, having drive to want things can be healthy, but it can become unhealthy if we start wanting too much. It's like, you know, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to take this. And that imbalance can cause you huge issues. The third is think your thoughts, your confidence, your conscious reasons for doing something. Those reasons can be logical or they can be illogical. You know, the fourth center is the heart. This is where you can either feel, make choices, but if your feelings are not right and you're not in touch with your emotions, you can make horrible choices, bad choices. The next level up is the throat area. And the throat area is where we process communication. It's how we express what's really going on with ourselves and the creative imagination and thoughts and the way that we can connect with people. When that's imbalanced, when that throat energy is imbalanced, we can either talk over people, you know, be overbearing and not listen, or say things that hurt people in our environment, which creates even more imbalance in our lives. Then you have your brow center. This is where, you know, all your visualization, your vision, what you think about in terms of how you're going to go forth in life, the type of life you're going to create for yourself. That's where that vision is. If you have no vision, then it blocks your purpose. It blocks your ability to do things with the right types of intentions. Even when you talk about, well, you know, I'm sorry I did that. I just didn't see, I didn't see it was a problem. That is because if your mental vision is blocked, you don't realize how your actions will affect other people. And then, of course, there's crown center, which is right at the top of the head. And that energy is all about your sense of connectedness to everything. And so these 7 areas within us is how we process information from our ecosystem. So if your ecosystem is busted, then you have bad, imbalanced energy coming into your own body's system. And if your body's system is broken, then you don't know how to process information coming in from your ecosystem. So we've got this fine balance of energy that we need to get going on within ourselves and outside of yourselves. This is the universal balance. Everybody has to deal with it, and not being aware of it is not an excuse for imbalance to happen in your life. In fact, if you're unaware of these things, then it's impossible to live your life to full potential. And the problem that we have and spoken about is that we're not taught about these systems, our internal system with the 7 major energy points and our 12-point ecosystem. We're not taught about these things. So when stuff happens, we have to go to the psychiatrist, we have a breakdown, start drinking because we don't know how to deal with it. And what we're here to do is to let everyone, you know, give people the education that we just didn't have growing up.
Yes. And it is serious stuff. In the world today where we are, there's a lot of people that are truly sick and they are seeking in the wrong areas, which also are manifesting as different types of addictions, mental problems. And then we're in a society where right now the age of 25 and younger are being diagnosed and put on medications and saying, you got to be on this for life because, you know, you're having a set spell, you're depressed. You can, you know, exist and grow without being on this medication. People, this is a wake up. This is a wake up, and we are in the time of the age of Aquarius right now, which is about our relationships to the world on an individual basis. You're either going to be in the conscious minority group or you're going to be in the conscious majority group, which is where a lot of us here are right now. But that, you know what, that's okay, because this is the right time for all of us to continue our spiritual growth. So that being said, if you thought that this part of the show was powerful, guess what? You want to join us and come back to WGSN-DB Love and Pillow Talk with Madam Coach Perea and Tim T. We're really going to have something for you because we're going to talk about love compatibility, and we're going to get a little bit deeper into what he's speaking about, sexual energy. I have the life coach, Tim, on the line, and we are about ready to really dig deep in this and talk about love compatibility, Tim's book as well that supports this, as well as also digging a little bit deep into the sexual energy that is important for us to be able to manifest our greatest desires and relates to our power and our will. So, Tim, let's talk about it. I've got a couple questions for you to answer and just fill in. You have what's called a love calm assessment that you put together for couples and singles. So how does this love calm figure into the way a person loves?
Okay, so we spoke about the energy in our lives, the energy within us, and the energy in our ecosystem that surrounds us. The fuel for that energy, the energy, when you actually break it down, it is sexual energy. It is the energy that binds everything together. Whenever two things are bound together, that is an attractive energy. Some people will call it spirit, some people will call it prana, some people will call it chi, and you can call it sexual energy, because sexual just means the bringing together of two halves. So whenever we're bringing two entities together, then a whole is created. And when we're talking about bringing two people together, we're talking about a combination of energies that will bring healing and balance to each other's lives. So relationships are very important in that respect, and the whole compatibility is based on where you may be lacking in energy and where this person has an abundance. Putting you two together, boom, you get that synchronicity where you fit together like yin and yang. Energies that you're strong in, they may be weak in, and they can feed off yours, and vice versa, so that at the end of it, you both can become whole as a result of the relationship.
Yes. And I want you to describe the difference, because how I see a lot of relationships, especially in my work, and even how it's manifesting through reality programs, the so-called music, the things that are going on right now with people on social media. Tell us, what is the difference between lust and love?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, lust is only part of the puzzle. We need lust. When you walk past someone in the street, you see a guy or a girl, and you think, oh, you know what? They look really, really nice. I want to talk to them. This is a mechanism that's going on where your body is telling your brain, look, I'm picking up this person's smell. They smell good. And what smells good about them is that they don't have any diseases. They don't have anything that's going to interrupt with your cellular structure. They're not related to you, so there's no problem with mutations. This person, on a genetic level, you can merge with them. This is what we pick up when we smell people. And then when we get closer to them, we're looking at the whites of their eyes. Even though we don't realize, we're taking in this information. We're looking at the whites of their eyes for health issues. We're looking at the size of their hips, or if for childbearing, or the size of their muscles for defense. These are all the things that we're taking into account. And with the lust stage, your body is just telling you physically, this person is good for you. All right? And it feels good. The reason why it feels good is because you're supposed to stick around for stage 2, which is, let me have a conversation with them and see if we are now mentally and emotionally compatible. But a lot of people don't spend the time having that conversation. They just finish off the physical side of it, and then they wonder why in the morning the person leaves and doesn't call them, because mentally and emotionally you never even try to connect. You're just stuck at the physical lust stage. So lust is only the basic stage of love. It's necessary, but you have to build on top of that. And unfortunately, a lot of us have lost the art of really trying to build and connect. Not to say that we don't want to connect emotionally, but if you don't know about yourself emotionally, how can you express it? How can you express to someone what you're really feeling, what you really need, what you're really looking for? So many of us are so hurt and broken, we're vulnerable. We build up these walls and block ourselves. Yeah, I can sleep with you, but I can't tell you anything about me. And it's like we create these situations. Yeah. And as a result, we don't have the fulfilling, the whole spectrum of love. We're just stuck at the lust level. Yeah. Yes.
And you know what? We want to be somebody else. We want to be the image of Kim Kardashian. We want to be the image of Beyonce/Sasha Fierce. We want to be all this stuff that focuses on the glamour of illusion of just the physical side. But you are so right. And everything, it's called moderation. But again, you just said it. We have lost the art. There are so many arts that have just been put aside, forgotten. You've been taken for granted. They're outdated. But this is ancient wisdom. This is so wisdom. And that's what we are in the conscious minority. This is what the conscious minority is here to do. Those of us who are able to teach meditation, yoga, and all other kinds of different ways to get back in touch with your own body and to listen to your body. What's so interesting, because there's a lot of people having a lot of bad relationships. And in my view, I call them in my ultimate umbrella of soulmate, you have 7. And then there's 2 bonus ones that I am doing this work and getting ready to finish writing this book. There's 2 extra ones, but the lower one are karma mates. And these karma mates, a lot of people are attracting these karma mates because they have such low vibration. When you do meditation, when you do yoga, when you do different forms of exercises and techniques, this is going to help you become more centered and connect internally and to listen to your authentic self. So tell us, does love, when we talk about, the love calm, what does that mean when it comes to those who are in bad relationships? Are they able to still be able to correct the relationships and receive this information? Tell us a little bit more about those who are in, quote unquote, the bad relationship.
Said it with the karmic relationship. And the only way I can think of it is like, how do we know fire is hot? How do we know fire is hot and dangerous? It's either because A, we put our hand in it and turned it into some spare ribs and, smoked ribs, or we saw it happen to somebody else and we said, you know what, that doesn't look like a good idea. They didn't enjoy it. I don't think I'm going to do it. I'll talk to them though, and I'll understand why it's not a good thing, Mm-hmm. So that's how we can learn. If we have our ears and our wits about us, we can learn of other people's mistakes and almost go through that experience, almost, to the point where you can identify with them and even cry. You can feel the emotion. Oh my God, you went through such a horrible time, blah, blah, blah. And that right there, you're going through the experience of their hurt. I'm never going to be with someone like that. He beat her, he slapped her around, and all because she made a decision to try and use him for this and thought that he was going to do all this for her in his life. We can look at that story and identify with it to the point where it hurts us and say, you know what, I'm going to make sure that never happens to me. Or we're going to have to go through the situation ourselves. Where we don't want to listen and we have to go through it, that's when your karma mate shows up to say, okay, you want to do it the hard way. Okay, let's go. And it's not a punishment. It's not a punishment because the whole idea is that you do want to do relationships. You do want a relationship at some point, but you don't want to get the right relationship and mess that up. So you're going to go through these training relationships to make your mistakes and learn so you could be the best partner or mate that you can be. But you've got to learn how not to be a bad partner. And you do that in your karmic relationships. So they are unavoidable, but for a lot of us, we like to learn hands-on, sometimes literally. And so this is why they're there. They're a corrective mechanism. Sometimes karmic relationship may only last for a night. Or it can last for a couple of minutes. You talk to somebody, they talk about, I lost 3 children's mothers just got out of prison, and so did I because of whatever. Right there, that's your red flag right there. That's your red flag. And right there, you can visualize it, you can process it. If you're balancing your 7 energies, you can process that information and realize, you know what, this does not fit in. This does not sit well with me. But if you haven't got that far yet, then you may actually get married to that person, have a child with them, and be connected to them for the next 15 years. And those next 15 years could be horrible. But guaranteed, after you are out of that relationship, you will never repeat that mistake again. So it depends. Our choice is whether that happens whether we learn over a 24-hour period or if it takes over 15 years.
And you are so right. And just to add to that as well, remember, when it comes to before being born into our physical bodies, all of this is written in our sacred contract. This is it. And that means these karma mates are written in too. But guess what? We all are aligned with the laws of the universe, which means free will and choice. And guess what? If you learn this lesson in your soul, just like Tim is talking about, and you have that conversation with somebody who's been through it, and you go, whoa, that don't feel right. I don't want to go with that. You use your will and your intention. You say, I will never be in that kind of relationship because I know better. That's you connecting That's you connecting with your cell memory that says you got that lesson. Because when you don't get the lesson, that's when you keep repeating it. And also about those core power points when we're talking about the second chakra that deals with sex, power, and money. You have basically over-exhausted this area, and in it is not working for you at its optimum level like it needs to be working for you. It is not spinning at the rate that it needs to spin because each chakra spins at a different rate. And know that, listen, the bottom line is your vibration is so low that it is not about that person and their behavior, which we know is not correct. What it's about you and where you are. Because as one with the universe, we can only attract in our lives where we are and how we love ourselves. So that means you're not loving yourself unconditionally the way you need to love yourself. And I didn't say self-centeredly. I didn't say selfishly, which is a lot of what's going on today and a lot of reason why people are having some crazy relationship experiences because they are vibrating at the lowest level. And therefore, this is what they're attracting. But we all have the power of choice and will. But I love that you have a program that anyone can go and take if you go to www.redpillowlife.com, and you can take the love compatibility assessment. So tell us a little bit about that and what that entails and what they're going to get out of it.
With the love assessment, we're just analyzing the 12 areas of your life and how you are best suited for love in your life. Like you said, we have a contract. And what we're looking at is take your date, time, and your place of birth. Based on that, we can understand the energy matrix in your body as it was influenced at the time of your birth. We all have this connection to the earth. And at the time we're born, whatever the energy was at that time, at that place where you were born, that has an impact on how your brain and your nervous system work together. Your nervous system works off electromagnetism. The Earth's energy field is electromagnetism. So that creates an imprint and sets the basics for your personality. Once we can understand the frequencies within your personality, then it's easy to see, okay, you're low here. This is the type of love that you need, that this love needs to be in this area of your life. This person needs to come with this type of energy to work with you. The best type of person will be in this situation for you, and you need to be thinking like this. So it's a profile, and we can identify 3 or 4 different types of people that you need that work best with and how to best prepare for these types of persons. And then we can take it a step further by actually finding these kind of people for you and then connecting you, whether you come into our matchmaking event or we do it through an online service. This whole thing of what we're basically cutting out is the lottery of choosing somebody based on the size of their booty or based on the size of their bank account, because this doesn't tell us anything about the right person, or the fact that our 7 energy centers may not be processing correctly. And like you said, we keep on choosing the wrong people for the wrong reasons because our energy centers are off. And if you find yourself in that kind of pattern, then yes, you need to correct yourself. But also, yes, if you know that you can't really trust yourself, then definitely work with someone like Madam Coach or myself to understand how I can make better choices about the right kind of person, so I can start recognizing the right kind of people when they turn up in my life.
And this is why it's so powerful, because, Tim, I truly believe that the soulmates of where we are we're all going to come together. And before those higher soulmates come into your life, it's important to work through and do this work on an individual basis, to go through and learn these lessons that we need to learn and let go of those relationships that's not working. And whether that be family, friends, co-workers, I don't care, even sometimes children. Because you know what? These are powerful. Remember, I want you to also understand, again, going back to the soul level, going back to before we incarnate, we all, in that sacred contract, and God signs off and proves that every soulmate that is in there, every karma mate that is in there, every true love that is in there, we're going to meet at specific times on our life journey. And guess what? The parents that we're born to, we have chosen them on a soul level to help us in our work. And I know a lot of people say, no, I didn't choose my parent because I didn't have a good parent or a good set of parents, and my parents wasn't in my life. Listen, this is the dynamic and the uniqueness about your soul contract. And it's supposed to help you and push you and motivate you, and know that the song of Michael Jackson's that I love so well, you are not alone. You are never alone, because God, the source, the Almighty, the universe would never have you be born in this world and come in it without spiritual support, as I call them, my heavenly team. And that helps me in my work, and I know that helps Tim in his work. But you know what, Tim? Let's really get deep and dirty in this, in the best sense of the word, because you wrote a book, and your book is called An Introduction to the Sacred Sex and You. Tell us a little bit about that, because I want to know about your book and the basis of it. And guess what, people, if you would like, you can even get a free ebook. Connect with Tim at redpilllife.com. Listen, let's talk about the sexual energy. Let's stay on this topic. And you start off, you've got some information out there that's talking about the lack of sexual energy. So tell us a little bit about that.
All right. So sexual energy is the fuel of our ecosystem. It's the fuel of the energy within us. It connects us to everybody and everything. And if we're low on sexual energy, then we're basically running low on batteries. It's like the battery energy, like electricity that comes through the mains. If we're low on that, then we find that we don't have as much energy, as much drive, we're not as creative. So sexual energy is absolutely key. Or we may have blockages through illness or bad living, and that can stop the energy flowing through us. A lot of the problems that we have, especially in this culture, is that for a lot of we don't have a relationship with sexual energy. We're not taught about it. Yeah, we may be taught about it from a biological standpoint, but not from a spiritual standpoint. When we look at sex from a religious perspective, it's usually like first thing we learn is that it was a sin. Garden of Eden, it was a sin, and that sticks with a lot of us. And then if our parents aren't talking about it, it's like, shh, don't talk about sex, or call it your PP and your VV, and don't use it. You know, and this kind of stuff keeps us thinking like kids about sexual energy, and we never really embrace it. And then, of course, what tips it off is that we walk into the world, you know, as 20-year-olds or whatever, or possibly younger, have sexual relations without understanding sex itself, have a horrible experience, and then that further blocks us off from understanding and being in touch with our sexuality. And that means that when we get to certain points in life where we need our sexual energy, it's not there. We don't have access to it. We blocked it off. And this is why you see the proliferation of issues with men and women, whether it's prostate disorders, fibroids, endometriosis, any kind of uterine or prostate conditions. And if people know, look up the stats for African Americans. When it comes to prostate and uterine disorders, we are top of the stats because of our attitudes to sex, to gender, anything below the belt line, we have issues with money, sense of identity. This is all below the belt line where we process this. This is where our sexual energy is. And if that energy is stagnant or non-existent, then it affects our foundation, affects our sexual energy and our ability to be in relationships. So, yes, very, 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 very important.
This is so powerful. This is so powerful. And please do share how everything is linked, the difference between a man and the secrets that lies in, you know, that conservation and retention of his energy, and also when it comes to women and how it's development and that activity. Because you know what? Again, here we go again. We're going to go back to the yin and the yang of the relationship. And also, as you say, also our immortality. People don't get it. I'm sorry. We got to go back to ancient wisdom, the art here, because this is deep, people. You have no clue what's going on with that. So share a little bit about that yin and yang of the relationship of the male and the female when they come together.
Okay, well, when I went through my own situation, I found myself at rock bottom after my relationship. Like I said, a totally broken character. And I've all this information on sexual energy. And so the thing in my life was like, okay, if I want to get myself back on track, back to where I'm going, I need fuel. I'm low on fuel right now. I don't feel like I can get out of bed. I don't feel like I want to eat anything because I'm lacking the spiritual fuel. So I'm single. So it's not like I can get sexual energy from a partnership. So I'm on my own. So it's like I had to go back and study and look at the sexual energy that I possess and how to generate that. And when you go into every other culture, apart from, and I can't even say American culture, because you had the Native Americans, the indigenous Americans that understood this. It's the European, it's the European and their attitude towards sex that has infiltrated and basically stopped a lot of us from learning this stuff. But essentially, there's a lot of energy in sperm. There's a lot of sex because this is the energy that creates our life. So imagine how much energy is in sperm. Now, every time men, whether it's the internet or they're just having willful sexual relations and they're ejaculating, it's like an ATM and you're spitting out money. But you see, if you learn how to save your money, then you build up a resource, and then, so I'm learning, okay, you know what? Enough with the ejaculation. There's time, give it a rest. Give it a rest. There's plenty to go around. So just hold on to it for a while and store it. Okay, so storing it is one thing. But now that you've stored it, you've got to circulate it within yourself. So from doing the yoga, or whether it's Tai Chi, or whether it's Qigong, from doing types of exercises, you learn to bring your energy up from below your belt and let it course through your body for healing, for energizing, for mental creativity, for spirituality, for anything you want. It's your energy. You were given it. And so when the energy spits out, it can create life physically. But when you retain it and keep it in, it creates life internally. And that right there is the key. And so for men, there's a process that they can use where they can first store their energy and then learn to move it around the body. And for women, it's the same thing. Of course, women don't, not in the same way as men. They don't have semen, but when you think about blood, there's a lot of life force in blood. So the blood that women lose on a monthly basis contains a lot of energy. Now, the thing is, the cycle, of course, is natural. The amount of blood that has to happen, that can vary. And any woman can attest to this. If you've been training and you change your diet, you may have a light period for that month. Or if you're eating horrible foods and doing certain things, your period can be very, very heavy. So the amount of blood that you lose can depend on your diet and lifestyle. The less blood that you lose, the less life force that goes with that blood. You can retain.
That's powerful.
So
that's so powerful.
So that is something, right? Absolutely. And again, this is, like you were saying, ancient wisdom. Other cultures have long understood how to eat a certain way and live a certain way to first stop losing your energy, and then B, once you can hold on to it, to start circulating it within your body. And then 3, when you get with somebody, when you're circulating this energy internally, you have a rhythm, you have a pulse, rest and go, yin and yang, a yin and yang, a time to be active, a time to be passive. And you're doing this within yourself, like a battery with 2 poles on the end. But then when you get the chance to intertwine your energy with somebody else, you become an even bigger battery, where one of you is going to be the masculine pole and the other one feminine pole. And that creates this huge battery of energy. And of course, batteries create power. And when 2 people come together on this type of basis, then you have your power couple, where whatever they think, whatever they want to do, it is achievable. It is achievable. The males represent the spark or the key, you can say, and it's a small role. It's actually a pretty small role. It's a key.
Don't say that too much. We don't want nobody to get upset.
I know. Okay, it's a huge role, guys. It's a huge role. But, what we got out to say that this key opens the gateway within the woman so that heaven comes through. So a woman without the right key, is a blocked gate, is a blocked doorway. Nothing comes through. And a man who has a key without a gateway is just basically has no access to heaven. When the right key comes together with the right gateway, everything that you want will happen for you.
Wow, that is powerful. And now, Tim, we just got to do a show on this, because this is just so much information on the curriculum that I'm already going to tell you to come back on the show, because we need to do a show on the sexual energy. But listen, let's do a little bit in the course. I picked out a couple of areas on your course that was reaching out to me. And the first part would be dealing with the beginning of sex. And go in to talk about the meaning of the divine embrace. Tell us about the meaning of the divine embrace.
The divine embrace. Okay, it's an internal thing. Ultimately, the divine embrace is internal, where you embrace yourself. And when we spoke about that whole, when you learn how to circulate your energy within yourself, the divine embrace is almost like your ego, the part of you that interacts with the world, your spirit, the part that is fashioned by the world, that has to deal with people, deal with problems, and that has to change itself for the different situations when it comes face to face with your soul, the part of you that is always the same no matter what, the part of you that has your agenda. Remember, your agenda is just carried out through your spirit, and your spirit needs to be regularly in touch with your soul to understand its agenda, so the spirit knows what to do. So when those two come together, that's the sacred alchemy. That's when, boom, I've connected back with my inner self. I've got my contract. I've got my GPS directions. I'm ready to go.
Right?
Right.
So you need to understand how important and how you're using your sexual energy. And if you're not able to manifest these things, I mean, we can force things, but listen, you want them to come naturally, because when things come naturally, you know they were ordained and they were meant for you. So let's talk about sex in the mental, and let's talk about sex on the brain. What does that really mean?
Sex on the brain, your hormones. Sex is driven by hormones, and this goes back into love and the different layers of love. So we spoke about the lust level, and then on top of the lust level is emotional level, feeling that person, missing them, because, the way he talks, I like looking at her eyes, and you're pining for them. That's that level. And then there's the top level where you're actually joined to that person. You're purposefully joined to them, meaning that there may be days where you don't have sex, but you still feel connected. You're not going to run away from that person. There's days where emotionally you may not like them or be angry with them, but that doesn't mean you still don't understand your purpose together, and there's a reason why you're here and you're going to tough it out. None of that can happen without that full mental level being activated. And when that mental level is activated, the hormone oxytocin, the bonding hormone, this is what keeps human beings together for a long-term period. So there's a lot of brain chemicals involved that without that, it's the difference between oxytocin. It's produced between a mother and a child, produce it when a child breastfeeds. Child gets to feel bonded and recognize its mother through oxytocin. It's the same thing for men. We release elements of oxytocin and also another hormone called vasopressin that stops us from getting out of the bed as soon as we orgasm. In fact, if we don't orgasm, then it's a lot easier for us to get up and go. But if we if we do learn to orgasm, especially if we can orgasm mentally as well as physically, then we automatically feel like, you know what, this is a good one. I want to hold on to her. I'm not about to get up and leave. That's where the mental aspect comes in.
Yes. So that means a lot of women have never experienced an orgasm. And you know what? The saying, fake it till you make it, it doesn't work in this area, because if you have never experienced an orgasm, ladies, females, women out there, ooh, man, you're missing something. Thank you so much again, Tim. Until next time, everybody, peace and love.